Welcome to the NOFSRL. Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and we are here at the Martinsville Speedway for race number 9 in season number 7 of the NOFSRL Turkey Hill Truck Series. This is the Old Dominion 250, 65 laps of action here tonight around this half-mile paperclip oval in Martinsville, Virginia. And after this race, we will officially be halfway through the season here in season number 7 of the Turkey Hill Truck Series. Of course, last week Stacy Stickler won, but she is starting midway through the field here today, and we'll have to see if she can find a way around Christopher Alfie in the points. But I'm joined alongside Charlie Reichert to be alongside you once again for another one of these races. And this is going to be an interesting one. The shortest track to go to all season long here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series. First time we've come here in the Truck Series since season number 2, I do believe. What do you expect in tonight's race here around this half-mile paperclip oval?
I'm expecting a lot of bumping and banging, just your typical Martinsville shenanigans. Definitely after that interesting Pocono race that unfortunately had to end under caution, we come to the not the world's fastest half mile, the world's second fastest half mile, and the world where the world's a lot of sheet metal gets banged up around here. So it's definitely going to be a very fun race for us to watch, but these drivers are going to be having a handful for this entire race. Passing is very difficult at this flat track, and it's just going to be a fun one here.
It definitely will. I think it'll play out kind of like how Nazareth played out a couple races ago, so we'll have to see how that all goes down. Of course, we're under the lights here on whatever night we upload this. I think it's going to go up on Saturday night due to the fact that I didn't get to this until today. Hey, I bought a new car this week, so I've been going through a lot this week, and I just haven't had the time to do much. That's why I haven't uploaded this week. But hey, we're here in Martinsville for the Old Dominion 250. This is going to be a good race, and Christopher Alfie comes into this event the points leader. 216 points towards the championship, but last week, Stacy Stickler, who came in third in points in that race, moved up to only 6 points behind Alfie in the championship. Zachary Fitzwater's up there as well, only 18 points behind, and Igor Barreto 27 points behind, Joe Rutkowski 30 points behind coming into tonight's event. Starting on the pole, it's the number 5 of Landon Smith Jr., Joe Rutkowski's teammate, leading us to the green flag for tonight's event alongside of Mr. Edge Nicholas Samadio in the number 7 machine. Row number 2 sees the 45 of Mason Brown alongside Atlanta winner Scott Upton. Last week we saw Ashley Boyd get caught up in an accident at the end of the race. He's going to start in the 5th position alongside Igor Barreto. Braden Perez alongside Alexander Rowe in row number 4. Then the brother to our pole sitter, Trey Smith, starting alongside the 73 of Silas Bordas. A 65-lap race here at Martinsville. Interesting cast of characters up front to start this one out. Trey, who do you think's going to go to victory lane here tonight in the Old Dominion 250?
I think that number 5 truck of Landon Smith Jr., given how hard it is to pass here at Martinsville, I think that 5 truck is going to end up in body armor victory lane. But like you said, we've got 65 laps to decide it and a pit stop, so that's going to definitely jumble things up here. And on top of that, we're going to have a couple of wrecks probably. This is the world's largest bumper car ride at the carnival, I guess. So it's definitely going to be wild here in Martinsville.
It definitely will. I mean, you had 65 laps tonight, so one of the longer races of the season in terms of lap count. It should be interesting. Landon Smith Jr., Nicholas Samadio, a rookie and a veteran on the front row, ready here on this lovely evening, racing at the paperclip. They battle for second. Landon Smith Jr. in the number 5 pulling away from the field. Mason Brown's going to take the second position away from Nicholas Samadio, and the yellow is already out here on lap number 1, as I do believe Audra Baranowskis might have gotten sent around in the 51. Not a good start to this race for the Watkins Glen winner back in September. And the only driver to have taking the second lap there under the green flag was Landon Smith Jr. Hopefully everyone gets cycled back around correctly and we get this thing back underway. But a very interesting first lap right there. San Mateo almost hit the outside wall there at the top of the show, but thankfully kept it together. These guys are going to come down the pit lane. Landon Smith Jr. going to lead us down for our first cycle of pit stops here in tonight's event.
Yeah, definitely very early for these guys. I'm not entirely sure what the fuel window is. If you could, I'm not sure what the fuel window is, but early call for a lot of these guys to come down the pit lane. Landon Smith Jr. is going to drive all the way down to almost on the back straightaway to the number 1 pit stall here on pit lane. Let's see if he just does a gas and go here. And yeah, just going to do a gas and go.
That's what everyone's going to do.
Gas and go stops for a lot of these guys. So just topping off early on here. Don't need to switch out the tires just yet. But pretty much everyone, I think, came down to the pit lane. So I think running order is going to be the same.
So Landon Smith Jr., Mason Brown, Scott Upton, and Ashland Boyd. I think they had to repair a bit of damage on San Mateo. He fell back to the 5th position there, so it did shuffle around a little bit up front, but for the most part, we're going to restart in that same order with everyone still on the lead lap. Should be an interesting restart, but first let's go ahead and see what happened. Bring out the first caution of the night on lap number 1. It was actually officially on lap number 2, but most of the drivers had yet to complete the first lap of the race when the incident happened. Let's go ahead and see what happened to Audra Baranowskis to bring out the first caution of the night here in the Old Dominion 250. We'll take a look and see what happened here. This was down the backstretch on the first lap of the race, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Audra Baranowskis may have had a problem, or Colton Yo may have had a problem. Yeah, I think the 51 had an issue. A tire might have gone down, and Colton Yo had nowhere to go on the 83, and into the outside wall went the 51 machine, and Colton Yo was not happy with the 51 essentially going straight into the corner, and sent her around there through turn number 1. So officially a mechanical issue causing this problem, even though the caution was out for Baranowskis being sideways on the racetrack, but tough way to end the day for Baranowskis. She will be out of the race, not because of the damage, but I believe an internal issue there on the 51 machine keeping her out of this one here at Martinsville.
So you see in the real-time replay, looks like something is just going to break on the 51 right there. Colton Yo, nowhere to go, sends her on the outside wall and just completes the job by spinning her completely around, and she ended up retiring when she came down the pit road. So tough break for that number 51 team, especially to break something under the hood on the first lap, but definitely not going to help her in the points. And saw a couple of guys come down actually the entire field come down the pit lane to top off on fuel. So we'll just have to see what happens on the restart here at the Martinsville Speedway.
We are back here at Martinsville here on this Saturday night. It was supposed to be last night, but like I mentioned at the top of the show, I bought a car this week, so I had a busy week and did not have the ability to do much because of that. And finals week, I guess you can say, also in the middle of all that, and work going to get real busy here. Given COVID doesn't become an issue, who knows with that? I don't care. We're back here at Martinsville. Landon Smith Jr. leads to the green flag with Mason Brown, Scott Upton, Ashland Boyd, Nicholas San Mateo. Lap number 8 of 65. We'll get back underway here at Martinsville, and hopefully we can get some laps in here this time around.
Indeed, hopefully. And that 5 of Landon Smith Jr. got a great jump over the 45. San Mateo, once again, really wide through turns 3 and 4. That's going to open the door for the 54 of Barretto and that beautiful-looking Tequila Patron truck. And it looks like Barretto is going to pin the 7 up on the outside.
Win our leader. That's going to jam everybody up top. There goes Upton to the inside of Mason Brown. Somehow, even with that damaged race truck, he's going to hold on to the lead. But Brown and Boyd go wide, and here comes Barretto. None of these guys seem to have this place figured out quite yet. Like I said, first time the trucks have been here since Season 2, and that was all the way back in 2015. So it's been a while since we've come to the paperclip. How about Atlanta winner Scott Upton putting the bumper there to Landon Smith Jr. up top, but Smith Jr. holding on to the lead in the number 5.
He is still holding on after absolutely Frenching that outside wall off of 4, but he's still in the lead. But Scott Upton, a lot less damage. Now the 45 smacks the outside wall off of 4. Here comes San Mateo trying to take that spot. Somebody's down the pit lane.
Stuart Gratton, and once again, He's going to go a lap down, and
Oh,
his
boy.
day is going to become a lot more difficult. This championship for Stuart Grattan has been a mess.
Oh, well, that's
We
going
saw
to be a
Dan
mess.
Park overshoot the corner, and they're 3 wide. Somehow they're going to keep it together back in there. Some wild stuff going on here at the Martinsville Speedway, but somehow it's still Landon Smith Jr. leading us here at Martinsville. Scott Upton there in second, Ashland Boyd and Igor Brito the top 4, and it's a gaggle of cars for 5th. And Trey Smith with a problem. Number 1 machine has an issue. He's slowing down. He's got to be careful here. This may trigger the caution if he can't get back around. And that number 1 machine going to be stopped right in the middle of the corner, and our second caution of the day is going to fly right there. A couple cars stopping with Eric Monaco, Elijah Gordon, and Keegan Thompson, but with all that happened, the yellow flag's going to fly from another mechanical issue.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very unique race going on so far. Now we may see a little bit of strategy. It looks like these guys are going to go down the pit lane. They topped off on fuel last time around. Landon Smith Jr. saying, I'm going to stay out and keep the lead, but it looks like everybody else is going to come down.
No, I don't get that. There's some stack up in the back, but I don't know why the 5 isn't coming down. Well, I mean, like, damage doesn't really matter, like, cosmetic-wise here at Martinsville, since the aerodynamics are, like, you don't need aerodynamics to run well here, but if there's something internal in that 5 car that broke, that's not going to be good, but Scott Upton's going to lead them down on the pit lane. Going to go to that 4th pit stall right there, and let's see if these guys change out the Goodyear tires. Yes, they are. And we'll see if anyone has strategy to play. So if anybody is going to take 2 tires.
This is a very unique moment here for the number 5. However, regardless, if he came down, he would have lost the lead because they would have repaired that damage automatically. That's what happens with these guys when they come down the pit lane with damage. And I'm wondering if Landon Smith Jr. wanted to stay up front, keep that track position, because more than likely they would have been on the pit lane longer than everybody else. The 97 of Braden Perez is a lap down, so there will be a car in between Smith Jr. and Scott Upton. But Mason Brown, Joe Rutkowski, how about the number 10 machine here? Can't remember if he took tires or not. We really weren't focusing on him right there, but he jumped the field quite a bit there. He comes into this race 5th in points, and we haven't seen much of our points leaders, per se, in this race. Alphaby and Stickler. There's a 91 of Stacy Stickler. She's in 16th. Christopher Alphaby, not too far behind her, in 22nd. As a matter of fact, 22 minus 16 is 6. The way they are currently running, they would be tied for the points lead heading into our next race at Chicagoland next Friday night, so it'd get a little interesting in the championship right there between those guys. Obviously, we know what happened to bring out the caution, and that was the number 1 of Trey Smith having an issue and stopping in the middle of the corner. I believe that was a tire issue, however, as he is back out on the racetrack. Only driver out of the race so far, number 51 of Audra Baranowski. 2 laps down is Stuart Grattan in the 21. And Grattan, 37th in points coming into this race. Only 78 total on the season. His return to Navafan Racing has not been the greatest. Let's put it that way. We'll have to see what he does next week in the Thanksgiving 500. Hopefully he gets some success in that event. But either way, 32 cars on the lead laps. And Landon Smith Jr. still out there, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold the lead for too long here.
He might be able to. He is going to have a pick in between him and Scott Upton. And like I said, that as long as that damage is not somewhat internal and just cosmetic, he might be able to hold the lead. But we're not sure how tires are going to work on here, how fresher tires are going to work on this surface. But we'll find that out in just a couple of short minutes here if that 5 can hold on the lead. I think Scott Upton might have the advantage here. But then again, just going to have to wait and see if the tires do come into play here. They probably will eventually, and I think that 5 of Keegan Thompson, not Keegan Thompson, Landon Smith Jr., excuse me. He's going to have to come down for tires if there is not another yellow. But the way things have been running tonight, I think a yellow is going to be guaranteed.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, even though we had all those cars going off through the corner, that caution came out because someone had a tire issue. And look at that jump out of Landon Smith Jr. He may have been thinking something right there, staying out. We'll have to see if Upton and these guys get an advantage. How about Rutkowski, Smith's teammate, to the inside of Mason Brown for the 3rd position. And Brown's teammate going to smack the outside wall in the back. It's Ashland Boyd. Landon Smith Jr. has led every lap so far here tonight. We're still a little bit surprised that he has done so in the number 5 machine.
Yeah, definitely. But with especially with how crazy tonight has been, Upton is losing time to both Perez and the 5. You see a lot of cars smack on the outside wall. I saw Andrew Williams in the 34 have a pretty hard hit. So a battle between the 33 of Herschel Arvin Alonso with the 45 of Mason Brown. That is for the 4th position. Looks like Mason Brown continuing to lose spots, but that 5 of Landon Smith Jr. continuing to pull away from both Perez and the lead lap car of Scott Upton.
Yeah, so it does appear, at least, you got to think there's only a few laps on the tires in the number 5 machine, so that definitely could be playing a factor on how well Landon Smith Jr. is doing right now compared to the fresh tires. So we see Ashland Boyd down the pit lane. It's almost like Darlington. We see at Darlington those cars get those Darlington stripes off the corner, and if you hit that wall too hard, you're going to have to come down the pit lane to repair that damage. Of course, we saw Landon Smith Jr. do that earlier on, but he is still out there with only topping off on fuel on lap 3. That's another big question. We don't know if he can make it on fuel the rest of the way. The rest of the drivers that came down, I'd imagine they should be good to go. We don't exactly know the fuel window in this race, but Landon Smith Jr. definitely on thin ice right now, considering that he's a pit stop behind the field. But he's a second and a half ahead of the field on the racetrack, so definitely a huge advantage to him right there. He's got Isaac Nichols in the 14 at the back of the field right now. He is a lap down as well, so at least 30 drivers on the lead lap so far here at Martinsville. Scott Upton trying to hold off Joe Rakowski. It is calmed down up front. Alexander Rowe just got around his teammate, Nicholas Samanillo. Samanillo's been struggling so far here tonight. Got Barretto right behind him right there, and Barretto's teammate Ethan Lewis on the charge, and just outside the top 10, Brandon Nelson in the 57, Jesse Turner in the 75, and somebody with an issue. Ethan Lewis in the 53 might have just blown a tire, and Turner must have been looking at him because Turner was going high. Don't see anybody else who had an issue, as the 97 is going to move to the inside of Landon Smith Jr., and now we might see those tires come into effect here at Martinsville.
Yeah, and don't look now, Joe Rakowski also coming to the picture. We don't know if he took tires on that stop or not, but with the way he's been keeping up with Upton's pace, I think he might have. So I'll have to look out for Joe Rakowski here as the night continues to progress. But Thompson, Landon Smith Jr. in the 5. Now he's got a lap car in front of him, so now he doesn't have that clean air. So Scott Upton is coming as he really cooks it, overcooks it off the turn 2, smacks the wall, and Rakowski's going to go by. Saw 3 wide in the back there. 33 of Alonso going to go by Upton as well. And all of that, 5 of Landon Smith Jr. continues to lead here at Martinsville.
Yeah, and I think what we saw with Ethan Lewis, at least, may have been somebody in between those guys coming down the pit lane, because now Brandon Nelson is in 8th, Barretto is in 9th, and Turner is in 10th. There were a few guys ahead of him, and I believe they came down as Rakowski overshot the corner, and it did not trigger a yellow, but Alonso got into him as he overshot that corner there, and Rakowski is going to fall back a lot. Now Alonso on the charge. It may be the kind of thing where Landon Smith Jr. just has to worry about everybody else beating themselves, because right now he has a 1.3 second lead. I will say Alonso's done the cleanest job so far. No damage on that 33. Almost jinxed him right there. These guys are having a lot of trouble. There is not much grip out there on this racetrack. A very cold night here in November in Martinsville. And that track is slick as the 5 overshoots the corner. And number 33 is going to gain some more ground here, and he does have fresher tires as well. 45, Mason Brown. Rutkowski fell back to 4th, and Scott Upton there in 5th with Alexander Rowe. Bartow is a couple laps down, I do believe, as he came down the pit lane to repair damage. Samadillo currently running in 7th. Nelson, Barretto, and Jesse Turner, the top 10. I do not believe Turner has gotten a top 10 finish yet this season. He has not. So we'll have to see if he can get that first top 10 of the year here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series. It's looking pretty good for him right now, but with all that we have seen so far here tonight, nobody is safe from overshooting the corners here in Martinsville.
No, they are not. Cross flags this time by for Landon Smith Jr. and Herschel Arvin Alonso, and Alonso is coming up on that 5 like the Raging Bull sponsor right on his back deck. But definitely a very, very chaotic race so far. Ironically, the 2 cautions we've had have been for mechanical failures and not on-track incidences. But these drivers have been knocking the walls down on the exits of 2 and 4 all night long, in the first half of the race, I should say. I thought the caution was out there for a second, but Alonso is coming, and he is coming fast over that on the back end of that 5 truck, excuse me. They remain green here, but Alonso is he's hounding the back of that 5 truck.
And we'll have to see if Alonso gets an opportunity to close in. These guys are closing in as well. Mason Brown, Rakowski, and Scott Upton. Alonso may have an opportunity right here. It may have to take Landon Smith Jr. making a mistake off a corner again for him to lose this lead. Perez, on the other hand, has pulled away. So if a caution were to come out, Perez would get back on the lead lap. He's actually regained his lap in the number 97 machine, so good run for him. And don't look now, Stacy Stickler is now inside the top 10 as she has gotten around Jesse Turner. So that's going to be huge towards the championship. But Alphabet still barely holding on to the points lead right now. I think by 1 point, as Alphabet is only 4 positions behind the 91. So 2-point lead for Alphabet if they finished where they are currently running. So it's getting tight up there between those guys, but you can't forget Joe Rakowski either. He's another one of these guys up there in the top 5 in points, and so is Agar Barreto. So those drivers will gain. Zachary Fitzwater in the number 9 is 17th, so he's not going to fall too far behind either. So the top 5 guys in points are all running inside the top 20 here tonight in Martinsville. So it's looking like those 5 guys may pull away from the field here a little bit and try to pull themselves away in this championship. Of course, once we're done here tonight, we still have 8 races left to go. Next weekend, we head to Chicagoland. That's going to be a fun race as always. Windy City 225 coming on Black Friday. And that should be a great one, as we always do, of course. Unfortunately, Chicagoland in real life, it's probably done, but it will live on here in the NOFSRL here on Napa Fan on AG, the channel. And we're looking forward to seeing that race next weekend. We're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen between these 2 drivers up front. Landon Smith Jr. here, Joe Larvin Alonso. Smith Jr. has led every lap so far in this race, but that 33 is coming. He's got a cleaner car, fresher tires. We'll just have to see if we can find a way around him here in these next 24 laps.
Yeah, and I think the ball might be in Alonso's court here because we're coming up on lap traffic.
And Smith Jr. going to have to come down the pit lane for fuel. And so that will lead me to believe that the fuel runs about 40 laps, which is going to make it interesting with a few of these guys here on the racetrack. Now, for Landon Smith Jr., he is going to want this race to stay green. If a caution comes out now, that is going to put Landon Smith Jr. at the disadvantage. For the rest of the field, though, Alonso and these guys, they can wait a little bit longer before they have to come down the pit lane. As a matter of fact, Alonso's catching up to the back of the field here. This could really get interesting for the 33 machine. He's got a 2.2-second lead on Mason Brown. It's Scott Upton, Alex in a row. Nicholas Samadeo has been able to hold on to this top 5 run here today at Martinsville. And Smith Jr., I do not see him winning this race because they have to repair that damage on the number 5 machine. And that is going to keep him on the pit lane longer than a lot of these other guys when they make their second stops of the night. If they have to make a second stop, they may be able to make it the whole way through here. But Landon Smith Jr. is going to get lapped again by Alonso. And the way things are running right now, I think he's 2 laps down. If he stays on the pit lane, he'll go down even more. So a tough break for Landon Smith Jr., but there was no way he was going to be able to hold off this field here in Martinsville and get the race victory by staying out under that last caution. Alonso, though, with a 2-second lead on Mason Brown. He's at the back of the field. Then we got a gaggle of cars here for third. Scott Upton, Alexander Rowe, Joe Rukowski, Nicholas Samadeo, Brandon Nelson, Stacy Stickler looking for 2 in a row. Igor Breto's here as well. Barcho is a lap down. And then Jesse Turner rounding out the top 10 at the moment. Stickler has been rolling very well in this number 91 machine, but she's going to lose the position right there to Igor Barreto in the 54.
And that 45 of Mason Brown, who has hit the wall probably more times this race than I've got digits on my hands, is closing in on that 33 of Alonso. Lost a little bit of time on him there as Alonso's going to get past the 97 and try and put a pick in between him and Brown, but Brown is coming on that 33, closing the gap as we've got less than 20 laps to go here, I believe.
17 laps to go as they Across the line right there for Hairjo Larvin Alonso, and Landon Smith Jr. is back out there in the number 5. But he has... Oh, as we got a spin! Christopher Alphabee in the 22 going around, and that will bring out our 3rd caution of the night here in the Old Dominion 250. And Landon Smith Jr.'s chances of winning this race, obviously he was on the pit lane for as long as he was there, they are going to end. And this will be a massive opportunity for our race leaders here, Larvin Alonso, Mason Brown, to come down the pit lane and top off to the end of this race. So this is a huge moment here for guys like Mason Brown, Alexander Rowe up here as well, Scott Upton, Joe Rutkowski. We're going to have ourselves a mano-a-mano battle between all these guys for this race victory with more than likely 10 laps to go in this event. You ready for this one, Trey? It's going to be good. We'll have to see who wins the race off the pit lane.
Yeah, chaotic is definitely going to be an understatement here as Alonso's going to come to his pit stall, but I think someone in the back of the field who has been pretty clean on the racetrack is, I think, might come off this pit lane second, excuse me. You see Alonso is just going to take 2 tires there, I'm pretty sure, but all the other trucks behind him had to repair some sort of damage. Actually, no. Mason Brown's going to get off. 7 of... Nicholas Samadeo. Mr. Edge is going to get off 3rd.
And I mean, you mentioned, all those guys have damage, and I guess for guys like Mason Brown, Nicholas Samadeo was not bad enough to affect him. Landon Smith Jr. clearly smashed that wall earlier on. That's what kept him back in line. This is going to be good. We haven't had a race like this in a while where it's going to come down to the end, but this should be a doozy of a finish. Now, we're going to have ourselves a lot of guys on the tail end of the lead lap here, or a lap down, and just on the tail end of 1 lap down, like Trey Bartow, Logan Williams, Elijah Gordon in the number 12. Of course, Landon Smith Jr. is also multiple, or he is 1 lap down. Keegan, or should I say Isaac Nichols in the 14. I still haven't figured those 2 cars out yet. And then Ashland Boyd. All those guys have come down the pit lane under the green flag. And it's Alonso, your race leader. Mason Brown will be second. Nicholas Samadeo, Alexander Rowe, Scott Upton, Joe Rutkowski, Igor Barreto, Ethan Lewis, Stacy Stickler, Brandon Nelson in the 57. For Jesse Turner, it's a big moment for him, looking for his first top 10 of the season. Has been the best of seasons for him in the trucks. He's never had any success in the trucks. He's never won before in this series before, so we'll have to see what he can do in that 75, but this is going to be a fun race to the finish. But first, let's see what happened to Christopher Alphabee, our points leader, going around down the front stretch to trigger this 3rd caution of the night here at Martinsville. Take a look and see what happened here. To bring out the 3rd caution of the night, Trey Bartow in the 82 was a little wide, and Owen Miles had a huge run and slid up into him. And Bartow was having none of that, and 99 got the worst of this one, hard into the inside wall, and then a bad angle up to the outside wall, and Alphabee there, just minding his own business. Can't do a thing about it when Miles stops directly in front of him, and that 22 goes directly around, sideways across the line, and this is going to majorly affect Christopher Alphabee in the championship. He came into this race the points leader, but he's going to fall outside the top 30 as he is now a lap down in this one. And that will take him off the points lead. More than likely, it'll be Stacy Stickler up top the points at the end of the night. Tough break there for Christopher Alphabee. But hey, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And it crumbles hard here at this hard-charging, hard-banging Martinsville Speedway.
A real-time replay following with Trey Bartow. Just unfortunate circumstances for those guys. And wrong place, wrong time for Christopher Alphabee in the 22. He is definitely not the incident that he wanted to have here, especially in a dogfight points battle with Stacy Stickler. He is going to probably lose that lead coming out of Martinsville tonight. But that is definitely going to set up quite a finish for the ages. And let's just see who can get it done here at Martinsville as our first on-track incident of the night with Hairjo Larvin Alonso in the lead here at Martinsville.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with Alonso, Mason Brown, and Alexander Rose. Actually, Samadeo, who jumped those guys on the pit lane, so that could come into Samadeo's favor, but it's going to be a great restart with 11 laps to go here at Martinsville. Let's see what Alonso does in the number 33 machine. We are back here at the Martinsville Speedway, going to restart with officially 11 laps to go. We went through the top 5. It's Alonso, Mason Brown, Nicholas Samadeo, Alexander Rowe, and Scott Upton. This should be fun here at the paperclip, and a great jump on the restart for Hergelarv and Alonso. Mason Brown just simply did not get going, and Nicholas Samadio gonna move to the inside. How about Barretto forcing it 3 wide? Alexander Rowe in the middle of all that as well. They keep it together, and Nicholas Samadio looking to close in on Alonso. Alonso stuck behind these guys who were a lap down, and the caution's back out. So they're gonna get to do it all over again. Alonso could not beat Ashlyn Boyd at the line, so Samadio will restart right behind Alonso for this final restart of the day, and I'm wondering if Barretto had to come down the pit lane for a tire issue.
Oh, Moses Medea. Been an absolutely crazy race here, but I think, not entirely sure, but I think Alonso might be starting up front since we got less than 10 laps to go. They're going to be single file.
Yeah, and that the 44 of Ashlyn Boyd did in fact beat Alonso at the line, so he's going to have to let him by right here. My goodness.
Yeah,
Mason Brown, that damage, they didn't repair it, and I think that did help hold him up a little bit there on that restart, so it will be interesting with now Samadio's got a pretty clean race truck right behind Alonso here, and it's going to be interesting with only a few laps to go under this restart. And after all that, I think Barretto had an issue, had to come down the pit lane. That's a tough break for Barretto, and that may have shuffled the field up a little bit. You have now Fisher G and Andrew Williams inside the top 10. Stickler is going to benefit from Alfie spinning under that last caution. Alpha in the number 22 machine, I think he's a lap down in the... Oh, he's 2 laps down. He may have gotten knocked out from that spin, possibly. Oh. No, he didn't. He's in 34th, so Alpha's going to lose the points lead, most likely to Stacy Stickler. This is going to shake the points up quite a bit, no doubt about it. Rutkowski's going to still be in play. Obviously, he's ahead of Stickler, but Stickler has done an excellent job moving her way through the field in this one. We'll have to see what she can do in the final few laps of this race. But first, let's go and see what happened to bring out the 4th caution of the night here in the Old Dominion 250 in Martinsville. And we'll get to what will, in fact, be the final restart of the race here in the Old Dominion 250. Alonso Samadio looking to duke it out for this race victory here at the paperclip. And this was coming to the restart. Ethan Lewis in the 33 may have broke the transmission here because he just stopped. And that's actually why the caution was triggered. No incident. So 3 of the 4 cautions, considering all the contact and damage we had in this race, only 1 was officially because of contact and getting spun off. Of course, Baranowski's the first caution was also essentially because of contact, but that only happened because she had an issue. Very interesting. Very interesting race, and it's going to be a very interesting finish as well, as Alonso is going to be your race leader with Nicholas Samadio now up to 2nd, Mason Brown, Alexander Rowe, and Scott Upton. Who's going to get the race victory? We're going to find out when we get back with 5 laps to go in the Old Dominion 250. We are back here at the paperclip, Martinsville Speedway, going to restart with 5 laps to go, so it's the point of no return. And Alonso's going to hope that no return happens sooner rather than later because he's got a hard-charging Nicholas Samadio right behind him. Samadio struggling in this race. But here he is, running 2nd with 5 laps to go, coming to a restart. Mason Brown, Alexander Rowe, Scott Upton, the top 5. This should be good. No lap cars in between all these guys. They're going to duke it out for themselves here in these final 5 laps in the Old Dominion 250. Hergelarv and Alonso, Nicholas Samadio, 1-2. We're back to racing with 5 laps to go here at the paperclip.
And Alonso did not get the jump that he wanted over Samadio. And Mason Brown's going to go wide. That's going to open the door for Samadio's teammate, Alexander Rowe. Scott Upton's going to
and Elijah Gordon coming off the pit lane. He's going to get in the way of Alonso. Very tight there as he came off right ahead of the leaders. Samadio may get an advantage from another old-timer. Alonso holds on. Samadio in 2nd, doing all he can to find a way around the 33. Alonso a little wide off the corner. And don't count out Alexander Rowe in the 77. Samadio to the bumper of the 33 of Alonso. But no movement up front. 3 laps to go at the paperclip. Drivers are coming down the pit lane in the back of the field. The fuel window has been really, really goofy here today. Samadio's got a shot right here. And to the inside for the race lead. On here, Jalarvin Alonso. Nicholas Samadillo's going to take it away. They're going to be side by side up the corner. Samadillo takes it. 2 laps to go for Mr. Edge here at Martinsville. Alonso's going to try the crossover. And Rowe in position in case these two tangle. They're coming to the white flag here in the Old Dominion 250. Nicholas Samadillo, the number 7, looking for yet another win on Napa Fan. He's a little wide. Alonso's got a shot. 1 lap to go in the Old Dominion 250.
Watch Alonso to possibly use the bumper here. Not going to use it in turns 1 and 2. Can he use it on turns 3 and 4? Down the back straightaway for the final time.
Samadillo. Samadillo a little wide. Alonso's going to have a shot. Will Samadillo hit the outside wall? No! Nicholas Samadillo wins the Old Dominion 250 here at Martinsville. What a brilliant race there at the end here in the Old Dominion 250. And the first winner after the 1000th race to have won prior to the 1000th race. Who better be it than Mr. Edge himself, Nicholas Samadillo, getting the job done for Gardner Evans Motorsports. I know Johnny Gunner has been going through a lot. This is a great win for that entire team. Samadillo gets it done here at the paperclip.
Yeah, definitely. What a race, what a finish. It looked like we may have had an incident on the final lap, but just absolutely amazing, incredible race to watch here. Just a absolutely amazing job by all these guys to keep it clean for most of the night. And Nicholas Samadillo ending up in body armor victory lane after all the dust has settled here at the paperclip.
Yeah, and a great run there for Alonso. He had a super good truck, but Samadillo was coming there, and I just had a feeling that Samadillo was going to win this race. You know how it is, Mr. Edge. You don't want to be up front there in the end of these races. Alexander O as well. How about that Gardner Evans Motorsports team there? First and third for those guys, so they're going to jump in the owner's standings. Mason Brown, Joe Rakowski, Jesse Turner first, top 10 of the season. Fisher G, Scott Upton, Brandon Nelson, Chase Buck, a lot of old-fashioned drivers up there in the top 10. Stacy Stickler finished in the 11th position. Rakowski going to gain a little bit, but our points leader, Christopher Alfie, finishing all the way back in 35th after his spin, and that will knock him out from the points lead. It'll be Stacy Stickler going into Chicagoland next weekend, your points leader here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series season number 7. But final thoughts on this race. That was, so much going on in the back of the field there. And I don't exactly know what was going on with all those guys in the back of the field, but clearly a lot of guys had issues with fuel. A lot of guys had issues with tires. But all the front runners did a good job. They stayed up front. And in the end, Nicholas Samadillo goes to victory lane here at Martinsville.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, just absolutely entertaining race from up here in the booth. But on the track was definitely pretty heated. And we saw Samadillo used the bumper there with 2 to go to try. He didn't pass Alonso there, but he ended up passing Alonso. So definitely A-plus race here from Martinsville. And once again, congratulations to Nicholas Samadillo on once again another win here in the on AG the channel.
Yeah, but another Napa fan win. Still Napa fan will be ZNR race. So, hey, AG the channel, whatever you want to call it. Nicholas Samadillo is still Mr. Edge regardless, and he's just got himself another race victory here at the Martinsville Speedway. Well, thought that was good. Wait until next weekend when we head to Chicagoland. That should be an excellent race there on that 1.5 mile speedway. Definitely looking forward to see how that one shakes out. But either way, glad you guys enjoyed this one. That was a fun race here in Martinsville Speedway. Glad we came back here for the Turkey Hill Truck Series, and in some capacity, we'll be back here for the NOFSRL Cup Series and National Series next year as well. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Here are the final points standing, or should I say, the point standings after race number 9 of the season. They're not final, or not going to get there until January, but here are the point standings after race number 9. Stacy Stickler, new points leader. And congratulations, Nicholas Samadillo, on his race victory here at the Martinsville Speedway. I'm Half a Trey Wright. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.